have set aside to remember those who died, particularly those who died in battle. And in national cemeteries all across the country, there are flags now on all the graves. It is important to remember and to honor the dead. And at the same time, we must remember that life is for the living. And what is the best way we can honor and remember the dead? Well, let's talk about that in a minute. We live in the most warlike nation in the world. The United States has been at war more than it has been at peace. We have a culture of guns, a culture that is rooted in six-shooters and muskets and AR-15s. This is the nation we have built. I tell you, beloveds, children should not ever be soldiers. And we have created battlefields here in our own land. I want to read to you the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. This is what the Second Amendment says. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This amendment starts out by saying a well-regulated militia. Beloveds, the well-regulated militia is the National Guard. Now, I am not a pacifist. Perhaps you are. I do believe in just war theory. I do believe people have a right to defend themselves. I do not believe that the Ukrainians should lay down and let the Russians come in and demolish their society. But that doesn't mean that I'm gung-ho pro-war. My husband was an Air Force veteran, a career Air Force officer. My oldest daughter was in the Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve, the National Guard, the state well-regulated militia. We believe it is important to remember our military dead. But we must not militarize our entire society. I know hunters here. We do not need AR-15s. We do not need assault rifles for hunting. I ask the hunters here, I'm not a hunter myself, if you would ever use such a weapon to hunt. Presumably you want something left over to put in your freezer later. AR-15s don't really allow it. The Second Amendment was written at a time when the well-regulated militia, you can't walk off camera, Ken. The Second Amendment was written at a time when the well-regulated militia was manned. I say manned because there weren't women fighting soldiers at that time. It was manned by young men who had to bring their own muskets. These days, if you join the National Guard, and if you're thinking of joining the National Guard, you I support that. If you join the National Guard, if you need a weapon, they will provide it for you. We have the power to stop the proliferation of assault rifles in our nation. In fact, we've done it before. In fact, once upon a time, the National Rifle Association used to support common sense gun laws. Why am I talking about this on Memorial Day? Well, a couple of reasons. One is that we cannot close our eyes to the tragedy that is taking place all around us. To the school shootings this past Tuesday, which is now the worst K-12 school shooting in the history of the United States. And I wish I could tell you that will be the last one, but my friends, you know it will not be the last one, not until we act. And the other reason is, here I go walking off the camera again. The other reason is because gun violence takes its toll well beyond schools, and wars take their toll well beyond signing of the peace treaties and the armistice. Veterans, particularly veterans who have had tours in a war zone, are taking their lives at the rate of 22 a day. What is the most common method used? What do you suppose? Guns, yeah. We need to provide assistance for the living. We need to put a halt to the ridiculously easy access to guns. Hear me, I'm not saying that no one can have a gun in this country, that we need to get rid of all the guns. I know there are hunters. I know there are people who are sport shooters. There are plenty of countries in the world where there are restrictions, common sense restrictions on gun ownership, and people still have guns. People still do sport shooting. People still go hunting. What would it mean if we enacted some restrictions? If we required people to take safety exams first? If we required registration of all weapons and background checks for all weapons, even those bought privately? Have you ever sold a used car? If you sell your car, you still have to do things with the DMV. You still have to transfer the title. We do it for automobiles. You have to take a test to be safe to drive on the road. Maybe some of you who have been driving for a while remember that you took that test. Maybe some of you didn't pass the first time. I had friends in high school who didn't pass the first time. We say there needs to be a minimum qualification for you to operate a motor vehicle in this nation, because a motor vehicle is a dangerous weapon in the wrong hands. Is that not so? We can do the same with guns, my friend. We can do the same with guns. It's not the soldiers who make the wars, but they bear the burden of the wars. If we truly want to honor the dead, we will put a halt to the senseless deaths. We will stop turning children into soldiers. Because, beloveds, practicing drills so that you know what to do when the active shooter enters your classroom and you're 8 years old, that's what soldiers do. We can honor the dead by taking action as the living. You must vote. If you are eligible to vote, you must vote. In every election, even just the local elections. We all must pay attention, write to our political leaders, tell them what we want. And we can support the living and stem the tide of war deaths that happen when people come home by making sure that we adequately fund veterans services. Another way to do that is by voting. Did I mention voting? The way to do that is by voting. Who can say if a battlefield death is senseless, in vain, or for an important cause? I don't know. But I do know we can and must remember those who died. And then act to change the future. I say again, we are the most warlike nation in the world. We have been at war in this country more than we have been at peace. We can change that too. It is the people who have the power. Use your power. You, each one of you, is powerful. Use your power. Wear your poppies. Visit the graves. I went with my Civil Air Patrol squadron to place flags on the graves in cemeteries in Egypt, which isn't all that far from here. It's near Whitehall. We placed flags on graves going back to the Revolutionary War. Visit graves. Remember the dead. And let's work for a world where no one else has to die in battle. Are you with me? I can't hear you. Are you with me?
Yes.
Are you with me?
Yes.
You gonna go vote in November?
Yes.
All right. All right. Namaste, beloveds.